Hello all, and welcome to my reaction to the Sunderland game. Apologies, it's slightly delayed. As soon as the game ended, I went to a party last night, then stayed up to watch the ice hockey. Go Flames! And then this morning I've been to the gym, so it's roughly I think it's about 11:30 on Sunday morning I've started recording this, so apologies about a delay. I appreciate this is quite slow for me. I think this is the longest amount of time since I started doing these reactions since I've recorded it after the game. But it's time just to collect my thoughts, just think about things and try and analyse things. And I'm going to spend the first few minutes talking about hypocrisy, really, for the simple reason, since the game finished, a lot of Sunderland fans have gone on social media and they've criticised their own team, to be fair, but the common trend has been we shouldn't be losing to teams like Lincoln, and a lot of Lincoln fans have taken exception to that. Now, fair enough, it's not a nice thing to say, but let's not pretend that Lincoln fans haven't said that about other teams in the past, especially when we was in the National League. Like when we lost 4-0 at Tamworth, for example, you heard all these load of fans saying we shouldn't be losing to teams like Tamworth. When we lost at home to Hayes and Yedding, when we lost to Carshalton in the trophy. I can keep on going on and on and on. Lincoln fans are just as guilty as saying that when we've been in a division lower than we used to. So let's not pretend that Sunderland are the only team that do it, and let's not be hypocrites about it. So I'm not going to criticise Sunderland fans at all, although they are very interesting. It's almost like there's a Sunderland fan TV video that I watched where the main guy who decided to introduce himself at the beginning of every interview. Hi, my name's Sean Middleton. At the beginning of every interview. You don't need to do that. We know, we saw it in the first thing. But anyway, it was just like they're very sweary and they're very anti Jack Ross because they are only 7th in the table. One of their fans said, "We're going to get relegated again." You're 7th, man. You're not going to get relegated this year. It'd be Bolton, Southend, and someone else. As long as it's not Lincoln, I don't really care, to be honest. But yeah, it's not going to be. It's just it's fine, man. Don't worry about it. It's just things happen. It's like loads of big clubs got relegated to this division from the Championship over the last few years, and they've all a lot of them have taken a while to adjust, like Sheffield United, for example, Charlton Athletic. Excuse me again. Not sponsors. So that's a running joke. If you've not seen one of my videos before, that's a running joke. But yeah, it's one of the things where, I mean, come on, man, you're 7th. There's only 12 games of the season gone. It's your 7th after 12 games. That's a good position to be in. I'm happy being in 11th after 12 games, so you guys should be happy being 12th. But then again, I suppose, given you get 30,000 fans at home, you take 2,000 to every away game. That hold 2,000 anyway. Fair play. You expect more, but you shouldn't. To be fair, it's one of the things, you're in this division for a reason. And anyone who wants to see that reason, watch the Netflix documentary, which is very good. It's very weird because they got relegated to the Championship for that documentary, and they lose a pre-season friendly against, I think it was, I want to say Celtic. I think it was one of the Scottish sides. It's been a while since I watched it, and they just go absolutely mental because they've lost a game, a friendly as well. But anyway, yeah, something would just devoid of ideas. It feels really weird in hindsight now, being so panicky about, oh, we're going to lose this game against Sunderland, they're a really big team. It's like they're not a Premier League side anymore. Had this been like 3 or 4 years ago where there was a 4 division gap between the two teams, it'd be like, excuse me, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough, chances are we're going to lose today. But it's like, even if you watch, say, for example, a lot of the other fan videos, like, say, there was a Brighton fan that came to their game against Lincoln a few years ago who got a lot of slack from Lincoln fans because he kept on saying, I didn't even know Lincoln had a team, where is Lincoln, all this bollocks. And he actually did a fan video for the game yesterday, and he asked some fans, and a lot of them are saying like a draw, and they're not holding out much hope for victory, except for one young fan who says they're hoping they're going to shithouse our way to a 1-0 win, which made me chuckle quite a bit, to be fair. It's actually quite a good fan video, to be fair, so I'd recommend it if you get a chance. But yeah, not a lot of people were confident of a win. I certainly wasn't. I thought the poor form would continue, and let's not make no bones about it, just winning one game doesn't arrest the bad form. We could easily lose another 10 or not win for another however many games it was. Just winning one game, it may change the confidence for a while, but let's not just assume because we won one game that all of a sudden everything is over in terms of the bad run. We've got a very difficult run of games coming up. I mean, you've got Peterborough away, who probably the best sides in the division. I think they're 2nd or 3rd at the moment, one of the two, and they almost beat Wycombe yesterday, who annihilated us a few weeks ago. And you've got not Doncaster. Who do we have there? Shrewsbury, who I think are near us in the table. Then you've got Portsmouth, who Everyone thought we were going to do better than they are doing this season. I mean, they won yesterday for their first away win of the season, and we're playing them away on the Tuesday night, which, funny enough, is the last game before I leave Lisbon. It's the game finishes about 2.5 hours before I fly back to the UK, which more on that later, by the way. So that'll be my last reaction video for a while anyway. And yeah, we've got a very difficult run coming up. Let's not just assume that just because we've won one game against the Sunderland side, who on the day weren't that good, that all of a sudden the bad form is over. But you know what? It's a win for now. Let's concentrate on it. Let's be happy. So yeah, it was a good game. Really good performance from us. We dominated, for lack of a better word. I mean, we didn't create as many chances as you'd like, but to be fair, it's like their goalkeeper was by far the busier. Like Vickers, other than that fantastic save that he did in what was his best performance for quite a while, he didn't really have a lot to do, to be honest, did he? Other than that, Sunderland never looked like scoring. We could have won that game 3-4-0. Andrade and Walker linked up exceptionally well down the right hand side, and it wouldn't surprise me if Jack Ross is still in charge of Sunderland in a few months, that they had to try and make a bid for Andrade. It wouldn't surprise me at all, based on how he played yesterday. And to be fair, a lot of the players had their best game for a while yesterday. So Vickers, as I say, he's been costing us a few goals in recent weeks, but he had a very good game yesterday. Andrade's been named muted this season, so he needed a good performance because he was in risk of losing his place in the side. And I think a lot of players were on that line as well, especially given Appleton has said he's looking at getting the younger squad. So players such as Shackle and Erdley, for example, needed to start putting in good performances. I'm not saying they were playing badly, but it's like they could afford another Oxford, for example. And so I think we'll start seeing improvements in player performances, especially now Appleton has got us playing much different tactics. So there was a decided noted difference in tactics yesterday. So under the Cowleys, for example, we're very much conservative. We were make sure we don't lose the ball, try and play it forward when we can, and ultimately would result in us playing like 20-30 passes behind our backs, amongst our defenders, and never actually going anywhere with it. And as soon as we passed it forward, we'd get to the edge of the area, and then we'd start looking for backwards passes again. I can't really recall too many instances of us getting the ball and straight away someone looking behind them to see what the safe pass is. The safe pass is no longer seemingly an option, which I love. I hate teams that play conservative. You know, the teams that almost play for a 0-0 or shithouse 1-0 win. It just does my head in. There's nothing I hate more in football than travelling miles and miles and miles to watch a 0-0. But anyway, so yeah, there's a marked difference. It just seems to be very attack-minded. The football was fantastic at points as well. There was a point when I think it was Morel, Walker and Toffolo were linking up between them on the left, and just like triangles all over the place and one-touch passing. And the Sunderland defender Van Beek or Van Burn or Van Bon or something along those lines just didn't know what he wanted to do, and it was just like that all day. I think Sunderland watched a few videos based on our old tactics, just thinking we were going to play that again, and then as soon as we started attacking properly and pass and move, they just didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to adapt to the game, which, fair play, it's a good tactics from Appleton to change things up a bit. I would still say the best football I've ever seen from Lincoln is the beginning of the 2006-07 season, where John Schofield and Dean provided a footballing masterclass, and it took everyone months to adapt to us because everyone just thought we were going to play long ball, and then obviously everyone started cutting it on. It sort of fell down a bit, but yeah, and yes, and we've also finally got a striker that can consistently score from open play. Excuse me again. Like, say for example, in the conference we had Matt Reed, but Matt Reed wasn't one of those players that would often score from open play. I like Matt Reed, don't get me wrong. I'd happily have him back, to be fair, given that he's now apparently left Billericay. I'd have him back like that. He was never one of those. He'd mainly score like set pieces or from the penalty spot, I believe. I could be wrong. And John Akinde is pretty much the same. He's very much a Matt Reed type player. But Tyler Walker is a class above both of them. Tyler Walker it reminds me a lot of, if Jamie Forrester had come to us about 6 or 7 years earlier, he would remind me a lot of what Walker plays like now. Walker's chasing down everything. He's moving in positions for the midfielders. He's chasing down seemingly lost causes. He is creating his own chances. He's going up for headers and winning them against players that are much taller than he is. He's coming back to get the ball. He is passing out to the wings and helping out. He's doing everything that John Akinde just doesn't do. And that's not an anti-John Akinde thing. He plays the way he does. But I don't think that there's a single Lincoln fan who would say if we are going to persist with one up front, for the foreseeable future, not a single one of them would say Akinde. And again, it's one of the things. He's never fitted in at Lincoln. It wouldn't surprise me at all if in the January transfer window, if we bring in one or two more strikers and try and get Akinde out, and also try and potentially sign Walker permanently. I don't think that last thing's going to we'll probably try, but it probably won't actually happen. But Akinde, it's never really happened for him at Lincoln. I mean, he scored 18, 19 goals last season. But realistically, if it wasn't from the penalty spot, he never looked like scoring. He was never one of those strikers who you would see his name on the score sheet and think, oh, he's going to score 2 or 3 goals for us today. He'd have a great game occasionally, like Extra away last season when we won 3-0, and he had a great run for what I believe was our second goal on the day. But other than he's one of those players. He's just so conservative in how he plays. He likes to hold the ball up. He likes to do these other things, and he's very much if we were playing 2 up front, he'd actually be a really good attacker for us. He'd hold the ball really well, play it off to the striker. But in the system we currently play, it just doesn't work. He just can't play that role effectively because the midfield just didn't keep up with him, which links in again to people having a best game for quite a while. And I think it links into just a lot of players need to get used to the calories aren't here anymore and needing to actually fight for their places. Like, as much as I like him, Harry Anderson's another one. Excuse me. They mentioned in the Stacey West blog that he's no longer got the calories having an arm around him, and it did almost seem to be a case where if Harry Anderson was fit, he would play under the calories, whereas now it doesn't seem to be the case. Because it's one of the things where Anderson has had a lot of games where he's not played that well, not just this season but last season as well. I don't like Harry, don't get me wrong, it's not a criticism of Harry at all, but he'd be probably the first to admit that he's not played as well as he can on a regular basis. So now he has to fight for his place in the team, and I think this is a good thing, where over time you'll have people who have to fight for their places now rather than being like they can just turn up knowing they're going to play. It's like in a Sunday League team I used to be in, there would be players who would they wouldn't even bring their match day jackets. Yeah, my Sunday League team had jackets. They wouldn't even bring them because they knew they wouldn't be on the bench. They knew they wouldn't be getting subbed off at some point. They knew they would be playing, and some of them were shocking. I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty shit at I was pretty shit at football. I haven't played in like 6-7 years. I can't remember last time I played. But yeah, it's got to that point where a lot of players automatically seem to think they are guaranteed a first team place, and in my opinion, not a single person is. But realistically, other than the cup games, is Akinde ever likely to start over Walker when both are fit? Probably not. But yeah, so I'm going to leave that here. I think sort of run out of stuff to talk about. I'd say good performance. I don't have an issue with Sunderland fans. Doesn't bother me. I'd recommend that documentary on Netflix. It's quite good. And apparently the next series comes out in a few weeks, and they're doing one based on this season as well. So it won't actually surprise me if yesterday's game, sorry, I said I'm recording this on Sunday lunchtime, is actually a game that's featured for the simple reason of it's a game where a lot of the fans really turned on Ross, especially the reaction video afterwards. But I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, there'll be a reaction video for our next game, which will be Peterborough next week, and then one for the Sunderland and Portsmouth games after that. I still haven't come up with a plan because I'm not sure what games I'm going to go to because I still haven't got a start date for my new job in London. All I know is that I'm back in the UK on the 20th. Well, I'm flying back out on the 22nd. Then I'm just going to spend probably a few weeks just chilling out. Maybe do a few temp jobs while I'm waiting for my start date and go from there. But for the time being, I hope everyone has a good rest of the day. Yeah.